Have you ever put your glasses down and just seconds later you have absolutely no idea where they are? You search the table, you check the kitchen, you look beside the sofa, maybe you even walk back to the exact place where you were standing. Then you realize something almost ridiculous. The glasses are already in your hand. If this happens to you more often than it used to, you might wonder, is my memory getting worse? Not necessarily. In fact, there is a fascinating reason why you can forget where you placed something just moments ago, even when you were the person who put it there. And the reason has less to do with your memory storage, more to do with attention. Today, we're going to look at what is really happening inside your brain when you misplace your keys, phone, glasses, wallet, or remote control. And more importantly, we'll talk about a few simple habits that can make these frustrating moments happen much less often. The strange thing about losing something you just had. Let's imagine a common situation. You're holding your car keys while walking into the house. At the same time, you're thinking about dinner. You hear your phone ringing. You remember that you need to answer an email. You put the keys somewhere. A few minutes later, you need to leave. Where are the keys? You can't remember. The strange part is that your brain may never have properly recorded the moment you put them down. That's important, because forgetting something doesn't always mean the information was stored and then disappeared. Sometimes, the information was never encoded clearly in the first place. Your brain was busy doing something else. You were physically putting the keys down, but mentally you were already somewhere else. Maybe you were thinking about work. Maybe you were listening to someone. Maybe you were worried about an appointment. Maybe you were scrolling through your phone. Your hands performed the action, but your attention wasn't fully there. And without attention, your brain creates a much weaker memory of the event. Here's where this gets especially interesting. The next time you misplace something, don't immediately tell yourself, my memory is getting terrible. Instead, ask yourself, was I actually paying attention when I put it down? Because there is a huge difference between forgetting something you consciously noticed and never creating a strong memory of it at all. Think about the last time you walked into a room and suddenly forgot why you were there. You didn't necessarily lose your memory. Your attention simply shifted. And the same thing can happen when you put your glasses, keys, or phone down. Your brain may remember the object. It may remember the task you were doing, but it doesn't necessarily remember the exact location where the object was placed. This is why you can stare directly at something and still not see it. Your brain isn't just a camera recording everything around you. It's constantly deciding what deserves your attention. When your attention is divided, ordinary actions can become surprisingly easy to forget. Your brain has limited attention. Every moment of the day, your brain receives an enormous amount of information. Sounds, images, conversations, physical sensations, thoughts, memories, notifications, things you're worried about, things you're planning, things you need to do later. Your brain has to filter this information. It can't give everything equal attention, so when you perform an automatic action, such as putting your keys on a table, your brain may decide that the action isn't important enough to receive much attention. This is especially common when the action is repetitive. You have put your keys down thousands of times. You've placed your phone on a table countless times. You've taken your glasses off hundreds or thousands of times. Because these actions are familiar, your brain doesn't need to consciously analyze every movement. That's efficient, but there's a downside. When you're distracted, your brain can essentially say, I'm already familiar with this. I don't need to pay close attention. And a few minutes later, you're searching everywhere. There's another factor that many people don't realize. Stress can make these everyday memory mistakes more noticeable. When you're stressed, your mind may become heavily occupied with the problem you're dealing with. You're thinking about bills, family responsibilities, work, appointments, something someone said, something that might happen tomorrow. Your body may be standing in one place, but your mind is somewhere completely different. So imagine you're holding your glasses while thinking about a stressful conversation. You put your glasses down. Your brain records the stressful thought much more strongly than the location of the glasses. Later, you ask, where did I put them? And you genuinely don't know. This doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with your memory. It may simply mean your attention was consumed by something else. Many of us believe we're good at multitasking, but your brain usually isn't performing several attention-demanding tasks simultaneously. Instead, it rapidly switches between them. And every time attention switches, something can be missed. Imagine you're walking into your kitchen while holding your phone. You're listening to a video. You're thinking about what to eat. You open the refrigerator. You notice something needs to be thrown away. You put your phone down. Then you walk away. 5 minutes later, where's my phone? The problem wasn't necessarily that your brain forgot the phone. You put it down was almost invisible to your conscious attention. It was just another transition between tasks. There's also a psychological trap that happens after you lose something. You start searching randomly. You look in the same place twice. You become frustrated. Your stress increases, and your attention becomes even less effective. Now you're not calmly remembering. You're desperately searching. That can make the situation feel worse. Instead, stop for a moment. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what was I doing immediately before I noticed the object was missing? Then mentally walk backward. Where were you sitting? What room were you in? Who were you talking to? What were you carrying? What task did you start afterward? Sometimes, reconstructing the sequence is much more effective than randomly searching. One of the easiest solutions is surprisingly simple. Give important objects a permanent home. Your keys always go in the same bowl. Your glasses always go on the same table. Your wallet always goes in the same drawer. Your phone has a consistent charging location. The goal is to reduce the number of decisions your brain has to make. Instead of thinking, where should I put this? Your brain learns, this belongs here. Eventually, the routine becomes automatic, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want to rely entirely on memory to find your belongings. You want your environment to help your memory. Here's another simple technique. When you put something down, deliberately notice it. You don't need to make a big production out of it. Just pause for 1 second. Look at the object, look at the location, and mentally say, I'm putting my glasses on the bedside table. Or, my keys are going in the bowl. This tiny action gives your brain something more specific to encode. Instead of a vague event, I put my keys somewhere. You create a clearer mental connection. Keys, bowl, entrance. The more intentional the action, the easier it may be to remember later. You can also make your surroundings work for you. Keep frequently used items visibly. Use a tray near the entrance. Keep your glasses in one obvious location. Use a designated charging station. Avoid moving important objects around unnecessarily. This isn't about having a perfect house. It's about reducing unnecessary mental work. When everything has a predictable location, you don't need to constantly ask your brain to remember where you put things. Your environment provides the answer. At the same time, it's important not to dismiss every memory change as just getting older. Occasionally, forgetting where you placed your keys is common. But if memory problems are becoming frequent, significantly worse, or are interfering with everyday life, it's worth talking with a healthcare professional, especially if you notice other changes, such as repeatedly forgetting important conversations, struggling with familiar tasks, becoming unusually confused about time or place, or having difficulty managing activities you normally handle easily. The important thing is to look at the pattern, not one isolated incident. One forgotten pair of glasses doesn't tell you much. A persistent change in your ability to function normally deserves attention. So the next time you're holding your phone and suddenly wonder where you put it, don't immediately panic. Ask yourself, was I actually paying attention when I put it down? Because your brain isn't designed to consciously remember every ordinary action you perform throughout the day. It prioritizes, it filters, it automates. And sometimes that efficiency works against you. The good news is that you can make things easier. Slow down during transitions. Give important objects a permanent home. Reduce unnecessary multitasking. Notice what you're doing. And when something disappears, reconstruct your last few actions instead of immediately assuming your memory is failing. Your brain doesn't always need more memory. Sometimes It simply needs more attention. And that tiny difference can change how often you find yourself asking, where did I just put that? So tonight, when you put your glasses down, don't just drop them somewhere. Look at them, name the location, and give your brain a chance to actually notice. Because sometimes the thing you're trying so hard to remember was never properly noticed in the first place.